Can you build around the entire world in Raft? Hi friends, and welcome back to Raft. I have a simple question. If the original 4 foundations are the center of the world and story locations respawn if you get more than 3,000 meters away from them, does that mean that it's possible to build all the way around the world and connect back up to your original Raft? A bit of context while I start building this massive line. Unlike many other open world games, Raft doesn't load around the player. Instead, everything is loaded around the original 4 foundations you spawn in on. I mean the trash stream, the shark, islands, everything is centered around these little squares. And because this is technically the center of the world where the raft doesn't move and the world does, and because story locations never spawn further than 3,000 meters away from the raft center, theoretically 3,000 meters would be the world limit. So far, I don't think anyone has been dumb enough to try building a raft that's more than 6,000 foundations long to see whether or not the raft world is a sphere, or just a disk that goes on infinitely into the distance, but hey, that's what I'm here for. The goal is simple. I'm going to build a line straight forward for at least 6,000 foundations to see if that would reach back up to my original spawn platform. Just to make sure there's no weird limitations from using the creative mode, I'm instead using a mod that allows me to free build in peaceful mode, because that way I don't have to gather all 20,000 planks and plastic, etc. I also floated the original platform a decent ways into the world to make sure the world didn't randomly cut off at the back when you spawn in or something weird like that. There's also no build limitations in Raft, so technically your Raft can be as big as your computer can handle. Fun fact, there's also not a skybox, which can be fun for other reasons. But with that context out of the way, it is time to build a massive line of foundations. Again, we are in peaceful mode, so Jeremiah is being a good passive boy and we don't have to worry about him eating any of my foundations. I knew this idea was going to take a while to carry out, but I was absolutely not prepared for how much time it takes to place over 6,000 foundations, even with free building. Also, while there isn't a build limit, it doesn't mean my computer was happy with me. It was around 2,000 foundations in that my computer started to have the first signs of lag with a slight stutter every time I placed a new foundation, and that only got exceedingly worse. By 4,000 foundations, the stutter was less of a stutter and more of a skip. The animation looks super janky, but I assure you this is in real time. And after 40 minutes of just placing foundations in a row, we reached the original goalpost of 6,000 foundations in a single line. However, no raft was in sight ahead of me, so we continued onwards. I kid you not, I spent nearly a full 2 hours just placing foundations in a straight line. No, I'm not insane yet. But at the end of those 2 hours, we finally reached 10,000 foundations in a single row. And no, there is not any indication that this would connect back to my original 4 foundations, despite being well beyond the island respawn limitation. There are a couple of other strange things about this really long and narrow raft that we've built though. For one, it takes almost exactly 10 minutes to get from one end of the line to the other, even with my mod that allows me to fly 500% faster than the normal sprinting speed. And auto run doesn't work with the flying mod, so this is just me holding W for 10 straight minutes. Also, I did end up anchoring the raft because I was worried about running into things along the way and screwing up the raft somehow. But this small island right next to the start is the only island along the entire 10,000 foundations that spawned. Once the raft is unanchored, the end slides a bit away without carrying the player with it. The movement is slight, but definitely noticeable. Also, the wave action at the end isn't nearly as bad as I expected it to be, but it's still not exactly pleasant. And it makes your player shake for some reason. And now for the fun bonus experiment. If we make a small platform, which was painfully slow by the way, to spawn in the radio tower, it does have some instances in which it can just spawn all along the platform, but generally it works super well to just run the vast majority of the way and then hop off when you reach your story destination. And just for funsies, I put down a steering wheel in an attempt to reach the cruise ship, but this had some unintended consequences. Instead of just turning normally as I expected, somehow the raft moved and spun at the slightest turn of the wheel. This also caused the island spawning to go crazy for some reason. I genuinely have no idea why this happened, but it is one of the weirdest interactions I've ever seen in Raft so far. But that summarizes the journey of building a 10,000 foundation raft in a single line. Fun fact, this monstrosity still only needs 6 engines to fully power. So no, you cannot build around the world in Raft, but such a long raft does have some funky other interactions. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this weird foray into raft physics. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps me out. I hope to see you all again soon, but until then, have a great day.